Hello guys, I hope you're having a great day. It's Cassie Frass here, and I'm going to do a little real-time video of me doing a mixed media piece of a beautiful butterfly telescope goldfish. I hope you guys enjoy it. I'm working on watercolor paper right now. It's Strathmore brand, and I did cut it up so that I can make some mini arts, so that way I could upload and do more art quicker and faster now that I have a busy work schedule. The watercolor I am using, it is by Pinelli Quality Artist Supplies. I wanted to just do a plain black butterfly telescope goldfish, and I thought black watercolor would look so beautiful. So I just mixed up a little bit of that on my palette, and I went to work using some Michael's brand paint brushes. I really like these because they have a really nice finish and they're really fun to work with. Now, I haven't used the Pinelli watercolors much, and I thought the black would be really strong. And it was, but once it started drying, it didn't look black. It just looked more like gray, like kind of like a white film on top. It was weird, and that's when I decided that I was going to use the color pencils on top, so that way I could add more depth and I could make it more dark and black. Because right now that it's wet, I couldn't tell, and I was just having a really fun time doing this. But once I came back and it dried, I decided to use those color pencils. I did decide to strap it down with some tape, so that way it won't buckle and it won't get like that weird wavy thing going on the paper. And I did cut it kind of weird, and my guinea pig fitted up a bit the piece of paper. So I thought if I did that, you won't be able to see all the mess I made with the paper. But I decided that I wanted to go over with the color pencil, so it didn't matter either way. Now, I do add layers with my watercolor. I just start with a really light wash, and then I start to add more pigmented paint on top of that, so that way it could look more layered and it gives the piece more depth. That way it adds more value, so that way you could have like a really light gray with a really dark looking black. But with these watercolors, I was finding it was kind of hard to get that black in there, so I kept adding more paint into my little solution because I was using the Pinelli paint. It's straight from the tube, and I usually don't work from tubed watercolors, and I just decided that I should use the set I had with me so I could add more contrast and I could control the water more that way compared to like the pans. I think it's harder to control the water usage if you use the pans compared to the tubed watercolor. The fins was one of my favorite things to do. It's like my favorite reason to draw fish because you get a lot of beautiful curves and shadows in the fins, and then sometimes they're transparent, so it's just, fish are so beautiful, honestly. I just love drawing them and painting them, and just I love fish so much. I just can't describe it. They're just beautiful works of art on their own, and then like you go in there with your paintbrush and you can control how those fins look, and they have beautiful movement. Fish are so beautiful. And the fish I decided to draw butterfly telescope goldfish. They have these beautiful round eyes, and they're just gorgeous to look at. Like, if you Google some images of them, you just fall in love. They're like beautiful fancy goldfish, and like honestly, they're works of art on their own, and I just wanted to capture their beauty and like on a piece of paper so I could immortalize it. They're just so beautiful. They come in like so many colors, and I'm probably like going off track and rambling about them, but they're beautiful fish, and they inspire me so much to draw and to paint. I decided that I would do a real-time video of my artwork to show you guys how long it usually takes me to do it. I mean, minus the whole sketching process, that could be another like 15 minutes. But with smaller pieces, it's much easier to cover more grounds and to create the artwork faster instead of like a 8 by 12 piece, which is what I usually do, and that could take hours for me to do. But these little 4-inch artworks that are on pieces of paper, they're like the size of postcards, and I could just finish them in like an afternoon while I'm like watching TV. Oh, sorry that you can see like what I'm doing here. I stripped it off the tape so that way I could get more control of what I was doing. This is when I started to add the color pencil, because yeah, if you notice like the black, it went really gray and it got kind of like gross looking, even though it looked really nice when it was wet. Like once it dried, it just like, ugh, I didn't like that one bit. I wanted it really dark, those rich dark blacks. And with the color pencil, I was using Prismacolor Premier black pencil. I had much better controlling like the curves of the fins, and I could just get it really dark. But since it was watercolor paper, it had a lot of tooth, so you could see a lot of like the white and underneath the paper. I mean, it looks nice. I think it adds a bit of like artistic quality to it. And since I didn't add a lot of water onto the paper, it still had a lot of grooves in there, and I think it looks really nice. Tell me what you guys think about that, because I like it. Yeah, I keep flipping the paper around so I can get those curves right, because like if you see butterfly telescopes, they get their name because their fins look like butterfly wings. It's really beautiful. Sorry that my desk is a bit of a mess. I was trying to pick things up and I found some stickers and coupons that I needed to put away, but yeah, that was my bad. Sorry about that little distraction right there. The tooth of the paper was really eating at my pencil, so I had to go in and sharpen it again to get it nice to that pretty fine point, so that way I could get more control and put more pigment in the tooth of the paper. Yeah, isn't that fin just beautiful? I love these fish. I honestly want to get one of my own one day. They're really beautiful. Yeah, I was just shading how I usually shade. When you do a watercolor base, it's much easier to go, it's much faster, should I say, to go in with color pencil, so that way you don't have to spend those extra hours, in my case, to fill in those light shadows and values. You just already have them with the watercolor because you painted them in. So if you guys are ever in a situation where something is just taking forever and you don't want to do it in your art, try doing a watercolor base, because watercolor paper has a lot of tooth, so you could add color pencil, pastel, all sorts of other medium on top of it. And since it's water, it doesn't take much of the tooth off of the paper. It's a really great thing to mix your medias. And you could actually do a marker base and then color pencil, but I don't have any markers. But yeah, it's a great thing to mix your media and see what you could do that way. Since the tooth was like, there was so much of it, I get a lot of like powder from the color pencil onto the paper, and it kind of got on my nerves, but I just got a little eraser and fixed that. Decided to use a little light aqua color I had laying around to give the piece a bit of a background, so it wouldn't be plain, just a fish there. I added the aquas to look like bubbles. They might not look like them, but I just added them in so that way it wouldn't look boring. I added small and like medium-sized ones, so it would have a bit of variety in there, and they don't have much of like a pattern. They're just there because I like I like this color, and I like putting those little bubbles into my artwork, especially with fish. I love fish. When you add different sized like bubbles, I feel it gives more of like an interesting look to the piece instead of just like big bubbles everywhere. It's a bunch of like scattered looking stuff. I just like how it looks personally. I did give it a little flip so I could get the bubbles where I wanted them to without cramping my hand because my desk is kind of small. Yeah, and you could see those little nibbles my guinea pig gave the paper before I even started working on it. After all that, I am done. I hope you guys enjoyed this process of me doing this little piece. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this kind of stuff, don't forget to subscribe, comment if you want to see anything more like this. Thank you so much. Bye.